wherever you are joining us from around the world. It is race day here in the Styrian Hills, and we are about to kick it off at the Red Bull Ring for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. And what a beautiful day it is to go racing. A lot of excitement is in the air for today's race, and it deserves it. It's the third race of the AM1 tier for the contest of speed. But let's go ahead and look at the track then, shall we? The Red Bull Ring, 2.68 miles long, and the fewest corners of any track on the calendar, and 3 DRS zones, which means if you can keep it in DRS range, you get that advantage for 35% of the lap. And overtaking opportunities are very plentiful here, especially down into turn 1, and we'll see how that turns out for the drivers at the start of this race today. But the tire compounds today, the C5, the C4, and the C3 going from softest to hardest, and it should be interesting to see what the grid starts out on today. And if you didn't watch the race last week, it was the Johnny Damon who brought it home for his team. He is definitely a strong competitor to watch out for in today's race, but there is our championship leader, Red Devil, who has been on the podium in 2 out of 3 races this season. Let's see if he can keep it up. We are about to find out. So welcome along, everybody. We are here in Austria, and we are kicking off the Austrian Grand Prix. As always, I'm being joined by Electric Entree. How are you doing today?
Man, it's a great day. Ready to get this race kicked off here in Austria. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Great day to get racing, and all the drivers were already out on track, and we are about to see some hot laps about to be taking place for quali. As always, it is a short qualifying session here today, so they're going to have about 18 minutes, 16 minutes to get their fast laps in. Most drivers are going to have around 3 attempts unless they mess something up, but we're about to get started. We got a couple drivers on their out laps. Not everyone has gone out yet, but it's looking like the Red Bull is going to get their out lap started first.
Actually, I'm on here with Mindset. He's actually just cross line. He's coming down that straight into turn 3. And I think he's the first one out on track. He just set a purple sector 1.
Yeah, 16 second sector 1. And if you're looking at lap times, a good lap time is going to be around the 103. So if you can get anywhere in the mid 103s, that's going to be a pretty strong lap time. That's going to be around the top of the leaderboard, but most of the grid is probably going to be around the 104s, maybe even the 105s. Yeah, Electric Blade just set a 104.516. That's a pretty fast lap, but I think there's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, 104, that's a great starting lap, but I expect to see a lot, especially as, the track rubber's in, as the session goes on. Those lap times are going to come down. Like you said, 103 for this tier is probably going to be a pretty solid qualifying lap.
Yep, and we're approaching the 103s. Here's a 104.117 for Cost Mindset, and we're going to go ahead and look on to the McLaren of Texas Tornado. They had a decent outing last time. Let's see what he can do. I guess he just started his out. Oh no, 104.912. That's a pretty decent lap time. The McLaren's last race, they struggled just a little bit. They were down in the back. They had a couple of grid penalties at the start of the race. They fought back, but there was a lot of safety cars. You can attest to that last race.
Yeah, Zandvoort's such a tough track. It was a beating, banging everybody. Yeah, it was a safety car fest, I think, is the best way to describe it. From what I've seen so far this week, it's not quite as bad here. This is another tight. The track's not as tight. It's a short track. The field stays kind of close together, but it's not as hard to navigate, I think, as Zandvoort is as far as navigating other cars. I don't expect to see as many safety cars this week. A little bit cleaner racing. I think really the biggest issue is going to be time penalties from track limits violations, if anything.
Yeah, track limits violations, especially down at turn 6, right where we're looking at no pucks given. It's pretty easy to go wide around this section of the track. And there is a possibility of a safety car going down into turn 2. That's such a sharp corner, and if the drivers don't get that and they don't nail it, or they hit their braking zone just a little bit late, then they're looking at the gravel trap.
Yeah, it's a very tricky corner to get the braking point right, especially with traffic in front of you. Trying to hit that just right without going over. and there's plenty of potential.
Yep, and there's our fastest lap of the day so far by No Pucks, given a 104, almost flat, but it gets wiped out pretty quickly by Vamu Nubel in the Mercedes, a 103.8. We're approaching that pretty quick lap time there, and let's see. The Alfa
Red Devil
Romeo
with a 103.6.
103.6. We're really getting down there.
Yep. Top three are all in the 103s now, like we said. Somebody just came across there. So we've got 103 to 106 right now, and I expect those guys at the bottom to, they're in the pits now. I expect them to come out and really set some, shave some time off of that.
Yeah, Cars Ben, he was the one who crossed the line. He had a 104.442. That's a pretty quick lap for the Alfa Romeo. We're going to see the Ferrari of G-Boon. Let's go ahead and look at him. He's coming around to start his fast lap. We're going to watch him go into turn 1, and we're going to ride on board with G-Boon. He cuts the corner pretty well there, doesn't go too wide. He makes sure he doesn't go too wide and hit that sausage curb on the left coming out of turn 1. It's a pretty difficult turn if you get a little bit cattywampus. He's going to cut the apex pretty well there. Oh, and he has a little bit of a slide, and he's going to bank into the wall, but he saves it. That was pretty good technique by G-Boon to keep that straight.
Yeah, and you were speaking about safety cars coming up because of that turn. That's another one there. If you get on the power just a little too much coming out of that turn 3, we had in the AM3 race had a guy in his race early. He got on the power a little too much and just looped it right into that right side wall coming out of that corner. That's something else you got to watch out for. But between hitting the braking point right, getting the turn right, watching the traffic is being easy on the power coming out of that one.
Yeah, so we'll see what lap time he does with that little fault in there, but he still goes pole. He gets with a 103.609 even with the mistake. So there's definitely time out there for the drivers to improve. Wow, I'm surprised he went pole with that lap.
Yeah, I mean, he had that little slip there. He could have easily been in the 103.5s. That little slip cost him a little bit, but he was still almost 8/10, 8/100ths up over Red Devil. So he's definitely if he can nail that corner, he could see even better improvement, I think.
Oh, for sure, 100%. And we have a couple drivers starting their out laps again. They're getting going pretty quick here. And if you didn't watch the race last week, I'll go ahead and pull up the race results here for you. So, in first was the Johnny Damon and B. Scholes in second in the Ferrari. Red Devil in the Williams. He had a pretty good race as well. QRL Ramon, he won't be racing this week. He's going to be subbed in for No Pucks Given. He's also doing pretty good in the Williams. And there you can see is the rest of the results and the driver standing. So Red Devil, he is leading the championship with 33 points going into this weekend. G-Boon was our leader last week, but he did have a pretty tough race. He got bumped and banged, and he is now in second. But the Johnny Damon has climbed 9 places since the last race, so that's pretty impressive by the Johnny Damon. Those 3 drivers are going to be wanting to keep tabs on, and see how they're doing in this race. But there is definitely, especially at the start of the season, a lot of room for drivers to jump pretty far into the standings.
Yeah, these guys. We're in our 3rd race of the season. These guys are now just catching their, getting their feet under them, getting the season kicked off. There's going to be a lot of jostling for position, and nobody's really kind of settled in yet on where they're going to land. We've got 16, 17 races this year, but we got some guys coming off some pretty hot starts, but everyone, seems to be generally pretty close, even if the points don't show it yet. It's been pretty tight racing, great racing. And you were speaking about Ramon earlier, and he's not going to be with us tonight. He is being subbed in for Avira will be subbing in for him in that Alpine. And then we've also got Saad Niaz making his AM1 reserve debut. He's subbing in for Riva in the Haas. And then we have Electric Blade subbing in for Goya Ninja in the Alpha Tauri. And that's our 3 substitutions for tonight. So keep an eye on those guys. They're looking to make a name for themselves in AM1. And we expect some big things from them as well.
Yeah, and BK, while you were talking, crossed the line with a 103.886, and he was looking pretty slippy and slidey, actually, just at that section. He did improve on his previous lap, but he is running out of time to improve. And the McLaren can't improve on his lap. He's going to be about a 10th down, or actually a 10th up, sorry, on that previous lap. And Avamanuble, he's looking pretty quick. He's down almost 2/10. He's going to cross the line. Let's see if he can improve. He can't go pole, but he can put himself onto the podium. He's in second place currently, just ahead of Red Devil by about half a tenth.
Yeah, but your top three there, they're all within, what, 75 hundredths of each other, 75 thousandths of each other. It's pretty close on your podium. And then even back, 103.6 at the pole, you're not even getting out of the 103s until 7th place. So, and that's a very close 104 to being in the 103s. So, these guys are all pretty tight. Everybody's within 1.3 seconds right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Put in a lap.
That's crazy, especially from last week. Last week the grid was pretty close. Do you think it's closer? It might even be closer this week.
I think it, especially we've still got some time left in this session, and I think we got 6.5 minutes left. I think it's got the potential to get even closer by the time the session's over with. But yeah, I think I do believe that it is a little closer than it was in Zandvoort.
Yeah, and B. Scholes, he has improved on his sector 2 time. He is 1.3 tenths down on his previous lap. That should be able to put him hopefully into the 103s and keep him into the top 10 for this race today. He's coming around the final corner, cuts that curve pretty well, and he's going to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. How much did he improve? He's going to go 7th with a 103.996. That's a good lap time. He put himself through that 104 barrier and into the top 7.
Yeah, that's right. As far as Ben, he's improved on his lap as well. He just crossed the line. He's got a 104.3, which keeps him right outside the top 10, but he has improved from the bottom middle of the pack. He's come up to right at the middle now. So he's got time to set another lap, and if he times it right, he might even get up to those 103s as well.
Yep, and we're watching Fluffy on his outlap. His teammate, the Johnny Damon, had an incredible race last week with a demanding lead. About 5-6 seconds was the gap, I think, at the end of the race, and he led it all the way from start to finish. So we'll see how he can do in this race. His teammate Fluffy is on his outlap, about to start another lap. He needs to beat a 104.372, which isn't hard to beat, and I'm sure he has the pace, but will that be enough to keep him in the top 10? Because as we said earlier, the lap times are just going to keep improving as drivers get more attempts to get their fast laps in.
Yeah, and we got Saad. He's out on his outlap now to set his first lap, so I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to play out for him. He may have time for a couple laps, but he's not going to have the time in that some of these other guys have to improve on his time. So he's looking to set some hot times right out the gate, I believe.
Yeah, Fluffy, he had a pretty good turn 1. Is he going to keep that streak going into turn 2? We'll see if he loses the grip coming out through the exit of turn 2. Can he keep it tight and neat? Yes, he can. A little bit of a wobble, a little bit of understeer, but he manages to correct it, and he's going down into the straight. These DRS zones, by the way, in this race is going to be one to remember. It's going to be a lot of DRS training, and if you do get out of the DRS, it's going to be a very difficult comeback for you. You're going to have a lot of raw pace in order to come back from that deficit, because 35% of the lap today is DRS, and he does set a purple sector. He's flying right now. Fluffy's on an incredible lap, coming around the penultimate corner. And let's see what he can do. He goes a little bit wide there. Might have been over the white line. And he's going to go with a 103.969, about 4 tenths down on his previous lap. But he's going to stay in the same place.
Yeah, he got wide there coming around that last turn on the exit. And I'm kind of surprised that it didn't invalidate his lap time there.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too.
You know, that's okay. You know, the game knows better than I do.
Oh, and
But
Texas Tornado with the huge off through the end of his lap. He does manage to beat his previous lap time, but he loses front wing and goes straight into the wall. Oh my goodness. What a disastrous qualifying for Texas Tornado and the McLaren.
I'm struggling to come up with words right now. That was pretty wild. You know, you set a better lap than you had, and then you just straight into the wall. Oh, and he's not even out of the session. So I'm more surprised by that. I think because it looked like he was just screaming coming out of that corner straight into that wall.
And he's gonna continue on like a champ, like a champ. What an amazing lap from Texas Tornado. Wow, that was not something I was expecting to see coming out of the penultimate corner. And Jay Supreme, he's now on his fast lap. He's going to be a little bit above his delta through Sector 2. If he can cut it, if he can cut these corners pretty well, cut these curbs, he might be able to just barely improve on his lap time enough to maybe keep him into the top 15. And BK with a 5-place grid penalty with a collision of no pucks given. And no, he can't improve. So he's going to stay in 15th. And all the drivers are finishing up their hot laps.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for BK. That's going to knock him down as it sits right now. He's going to be sitting in 11th, starting the race. If he can't improve anymore, he's on a push lap right now. But that's bad news for BK.
Wait, I'm sorry. What happened to BK?
Oh, he had a collision with no pucks given. It gave him a 5-second grid grid penalty. And he's looking to improve. He's on a push lap now, but you know, if he can't improve off of his 6th place start, he's going to be starting in 11th.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to have enough pace to keep him in the top 10. It could be quite sketchy though in the later stages of qualifying. Ecos Saint, he is on his hot lap, and we're going to watch the McLaren go around the track. And there's a lot of drivers who are coming around to start their hot laps, their final hot laps, and qualifying only has about 40 seconds left in the session, and then we're gonna get on to the race. It looks like he got a little bit of a slipstream there from the Alpine. Is he gonna keep it tight and neat through here? He goes a little bit wide, but that's gonna give him a bit more exit speed coming into this tiny little straight coming around into turn 6 and 7.
Yeah, he looks like he's nailing his marks there. You know, he's hitting the apex is great. He's coming around. I look for him to improve on his time, but that remains to be seen because these last 2 corners can be a little tricky.
Yeah, and Techie Corey right behind him. He's on a pretty quick lap as well. I don't think Ecos Saint is going to be able to improve.
No, he was quarter second down.
Yeah, quarter second down. And let's go ahead and go on board with no pucks given. Oh, sorry, wrong Williams. Let's go ahead and go on with Red Devil here. He's a little bit above his sector time. Is that going to be enough? Is he going to be able to pull enough out of the bag to go pull and beat G Boone? This is going to be quite the nail scratcher here. He cuts it pretty good. It goes a little bit wide there. Valmu Nubel sets the fastest lap of the session with a 1:03.5. Red Devil does improve on his time, but it's not enough to beat G Boone. I think he went a little bit wide there and he got disqualified. But Valmu Nubel with the fastest lap of the session so far. We're coming around the final stages of qualifying here. The Johnny Damon isn't going to have enough to improve. Will Fluffy be able to improve on his lap? He's 2/10 down. Is that going to be enough to put him in the top 10? Yes, it is. He's going to go right ahead into the top 10 and ahead of his teammate. And that's a great end to qualifying for the Aston Martin of Fluffy. Will BK be able to be at the top with his teammate? He's going to improve, and he's going to go 7th. He's going to go 7th with a 1:03.825. The Alfa Romeos are coming around here, it looks like. Cars Ben. Let's see what lap time he can do. He needs to beat a 1:04.304 to be able to improve on his lap time. And he's going to be just a little bit above his sector time. Will G Boone be able to take back pole from Valmu Nubel? He's coming around the line. And, he's going to be close, but not enough. Not enough to be able to go ahead of Valmu Nubel. And that is the end of qualifying. Wow, what a qualifying session.
Yeah, that was, I mean, super tight. I mean, you nailed it on the head. You know, mid 103 was going to be the time to beat, and you know, 103 all the way through 11th, 12th place. First 12 are all under 103 or in the 103s. It's super tight qualifying there.
Yeah.
When you look at the gap from 1 to 2, 0.089 seconds.
Yeah, so it's Vamu Nubel in first, G Boone in second, Red Devil in third, Scorzy in fourth, Cost Mindset in fifth, No Pucks Given in sixth, B Shoals in seventh, BK in eighth, Techie Corgi in ninth, and Fluffy is finishing out the top 10. Sorry, cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh no, go ahead. I was finishing anyway.
Oh yeah, but that rounds off the top 10, and the Johnny Damon, he was our winner last week. He is going to be in 11th this race, and Cost Saint and the McLaren is going to be in 12th. And Texas Tornado, he had a bit of an interesting off there. He was going to be at the bottom. But wow, what a qualifying session. We're about to get this race started. What do you think the strategy is going to be for today's race?
You know, I don't think this track is as hard on tires as we saw last week in Zandvoort. Of course, you know, that all depends on how hard you want to push them during this race with a tight grid like this. I think these guys are going to be pushing a little harder anyway. I think soft medium's doable, starting on the mediums, you know, or even a medium hard just to be safe. You know, or maybe starting on the softs, banking on an early-ish safety car. I think AM3 we had our first safety car at around 10 laps, so it's certainly doable to do a soft to medium or soft to hard strategy here. But I'd be interested to see what these guys are thinking, because they push a little harder than we do in AM3, and I'm sure their tire wear is a little heavier than ours is.
Exactly, and it's pretty difficult to predict, especially with all these DRS zones and it being such a short lap. It's going to be a 36 lap race today, but just from what we've seen in the previous races, there's been a lot of mediums and hards. So we haven't seen many drivers starting on the softs, and I fear that's just because just the way their tires are degrading. It's so back and forth, so much wheel-to-wheel racing. I bet you that's really degrading, and if they don't start on the mediums, I bet you they'll start on the hards. And we'll see what strategies that can predict. But if drivers are starting on the medium, I'd probably guess maybe they're going to pit around 16 to 18, and then hards is going to be anything after that, probably around 18 laps. They're probably looking around just in the middle of the race to go pit. It's looking like a one-stopper, and we'll see if anyone can do any undercuts or overcuts. But I mean, we'll see once we get out on track, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. You know, I think with the hard, if you start on the hards, you're probably with 36 laps. I think certainly, you know, 20 on the hards, 16 on the mediums, in that, you know, somewhere around there, or, you know, vice versa. If you start on the mediums, I think that's certainly doable on a one-stop strategy. And here we go.
Here we go.
3, 4, 5 lights.
5 lights, and away we go. It's going to be Vamu Nubel who gets away well. G Boone in the Ferrari isn't going to get away as well. It's going to be Vamu Nubel who's going to get ahead of G Boone, who's going to cut him off going into turn 1, and he's going to get the lead going out of turn 1 onto turn 2, and there hasn't been any damage in the back. A lot of drivers are spreading out across the track. Will we see any contact? It looked like maybe the Alfa Romeo might have had a little bit of contact with the Mercedes ahead of him. And there's going to be a lot of drivers that are pretty close, pretty tight-knit. And it looks like the Haas of Sad Niaz is going to fall behind just a little bit there in the back. Wow, what a start to this race.
Texas Tornadoes lost his front wing coming around turn 3 there. There was some contact. I saw some parts flying. And he doesn't have a wing. I'm not sure who he was tangled up with.
Yeah, Texas Tornado, we just saw on screen. Oh, and there goes an Alpha Tauri a little bit wide coming out of turn 7, I believe. And there's going to be definitely a bit of a gap starting with the Red Bull of BK. And it looks like Texas Tornado is going to go ahead and go into the pits. And we're about to see a lot of drivers really starting to push their tires, maybe use their ERS just a little bit more to try and gain some places while they can before the field spreads out too thin.
Yeah, you know, and I think really G Boone here, he's in a perfect position. You know, he started second. Vamu got ahead of him. Well, he was on pole, but you know, he stayed in behind him. If he can keep within a second here, 35% of this lap is going to be DRS coming up the next lap. Like, he's in the perfect spot to be in overtaking position here, and I think this is right where he wants to be.
Yeah, so BK, Texas Tornado, Electric Blade, and Saad Niaz, they all went into the pits in the first lap. But for only 4 drivers going into the pits, we still have a pretty close gap. Going on here. Fluffy did manage to make an overtake on Kryptonic Swing about a couple turns ago. That was a great overtake. And he's going to be looking up the back of B-Shoals to try and get ahead of him before B-Shoals gets too far away.
Yeah, and right in front of B-Shoals, no pucks given in Scarinzi. He's all over the back of Scarinzi, who's all over the back of Mindset. I mean, it's so tight here. You know, they're stretching into like a single file train, but there's not much room between them. And DRS is on now. It's going to be training around there, so I think we're going to be looking for somebody to push it hard into these corners and maybe slide in on the inside of somebody and get an overtake here.
Yeah, No Pucks came with a little bit of contact. He had a little bit too much speed going into turn 2. He went right up the back of Scornsy in the Alpha Tauri, and he's going to be trying to gain those precious tenths back and hopefully mount an overtake here shortly. But the field, Fluffy, is still up on the back of B-Shoals. He's close. He just needs to gain a little bit more time, and he might be able to get that back. But further behind them, in the Alfa Romeo, Cars Ben is all at the back of Johnny Damon, and he's going to be looking to try and get the DRS overtake into turn 1. If he can set that up nicely and keep it clean through these final corners, he should have DRS and maybe be able to get the overtake here.
Yeah, Techie Corgi got around Johnny Damon there earlier, I think around turn 5, and they were kind of battling out, and that let Cars Ben slide in there and then start battling with Johnny as Techie kind of pulled away. But now they've all got DRS, they're all kind of evenly spaced, and going to be interesting to see what happens when we get some more corners here and try to get some overtakes done.
Yeah, and Fluffy just got a 3-second time penalty. I'm not sure what for. We might be able to go back and look at that here in a second. But I think he made contact with the Haas ahead of him, and Ecos Saint is all at the back of Fluffy, really trying to pick up those scraps from that penalty. He doesn't necessarily need it, but if he can get ahead of him quickly, that time deficit is really going to start hitting for him, paying dividends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, you know, this is such tight racing, like, even a 3-second penalty can really hurt your final standing in this race. You know, as the field stays together so well. And there's Texas Tornado with a 3-second penalty for multiple track limit violations as well.
Yep, and here goes Ecos Saint. He's not going to be able to get ahead of Fluffy, but he might be able to mount an attack going in to turn 2. He's going to have the DRS. Fluffy ahead of him has the DRS. He's going to go up the inside, and he might make a little bit of contact, cuts to the corner just a little bit, and he's not going to be able to. Fluffy had a great exit out of turn 2 and managed to stay ahead. Will Ecos Saint try and make a move around the outside? He's going to dodge back towards the inside, make a little bit of contact, and there's been a big contact from Fluffy and Ecos Saint. Ecos Saint is going to start falling down the order.
Yeah, Saint really gambled on that, I think, going on the inside like that. You know, it was hard fighting, hard racing. You know, I don't think, I would say that was a no fault, really, but that was some pretty tight racing there, and he gambled big and kind of lost on that one for sure.
Yeah, there was not much between him there, and he really tried to go for that fake move down the outside, switch down towards the inside. I don't think Fluffy saw it coming, and I think it caught him off guard a little bit, and they made contact. But all is fine. It was a racing incident. But they might suffer a little bit. But, I mean, we're only 6 laps in, so they have plenty of time to try and recover.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's 36 laps. Doesn't seem like a long time, but at this track, all the turns and twists, and you'll feel it by the end of it. So there's plenty of race left to go to make up some positions there.
Yeah, and no pucks given. He's looking up the back of Scornsy. There's a lot of fighting up there in the front of the pack, and we'll see if he's going to be able to pick up the scraps here early. Yeah, and that the fighting up front is really going to start start slowing the drivers down, and that's going to really start to group up the field if they can't overtake. Overtaking is difficult through the middle section of this track, but hopefully they're going to be able to get some overtaking here. He's going to look to see if he can set up a DRS overtake going into turn 1. It looks like the Ferrari at B-Shoals went a little bit wide there in the penultimate corner, and he's going to lose. He might lose DRS. No, he's still in the DRS range, but he's not going to be able to get an overtake done.
No, but yeah, I mean, like with so much of this lap in DRS, you know, and with people the guys up front fighting, you know, this pack stays tight together. You really just kind of got to hang on, I think, and just keeping that DRS to stay with everybody and just kind of pick your shots here. It's definitely for such a short, fast track, it's definitely a game of patience.
Exactly, and no pucks given. He's looking up the inside of Scorzy. He might be able to get the move off. He tried into turn 2, but couldn't get the move done. Scorzy went wide and managed to get the exit speed, but it looks like he's going to be able to pull this one off.
Yeah, he just shot around the inside, kind of similar to what we saw with Saint, but you know, it actually kind of worked for him this time. Not quite as big of a gamble.
Yeah, it was because Scorzy went really wide into turn 1. I'm sorry, turn 2. It looks like he got a little bit scared because no pucks given was right down the inside. He was ready for that overtake, and Scorzy didn't want any part of it, and he let him go.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, you know, kind of what I was saying earlier with the talking about the patience. You know, you just kind of want to be there and keep the pressure on, and set yourself up to be in position to take advantage of other drivers' mistakes.
Exactly. And Techie Corgi, speaking of mistakes, is really trying to capitalize on the mistake of Fluffy from earlier when he made contact with Ecos Saint. Techie Corgi in the Alpine is not going to be able to get down in the inside of turn 1, but he might be able to just have enough DRS to get him into turn 3. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Fluffy's doing a great job of defending from that Haas behind.
Yeah, he's putting that car exactly where it needs to be to keep him blocked off from getting an opportunity to overtake. Yeah. So it's just if he can hang on and not succumb to the pressure, he'll be in good shape.
Yeah, and we have a pretty tight-knit group here between No Pucks Given, Scorzy, and Cost Mindset. Cost Mindset is really starting to fall a little bit here in the early stages of this race. His pace is slightly starting to fall off. Scorzy just got the overtake on him, and B. Schultz is right behind him as well. We have a bit of a DRS train forming here in the top 10, and we'll see if that lasts for much longer. And No Pucks Given, that's going to be very detrimental to his race. He's in 4th right now, but he has a 3-second time penalty. And I'm not sure what that was for. You know what that was for, Electric?
It was track limits.
Oh, track limits. Oh, that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and while that happened, Johnny Damon actually pulled off a pass around Techie Corgi there on the start straight. He's moved up into 10th.
Yeah, and that's pretty detrimental to his race. But he's still going. He's still chugging along. We still have way over half the race left. And I mean, Cost Mindset might just be saving his tires. You know, he might be trying to save a little bit of tire strength for later in his stint and try and blow by these guys. Yeah,
I mean, we saw it last week. You know, Johnny had however many, almost 30 laps on his tires at oh my gosh, there was a big wreck there in the back.
Big wreck from the Haas of Kryptonic Swing. He had a 5-second time penalty, severe collision with Fluffy. Fluffy's been in a lot of collisions here today, and that might just be a safety car. That might be our first safety car of the day.
Yeah, Fluffy and Johnny both missing their front wings there. I think maybe they checked up a little too hard on that safety car, or trying to miss somebody else checking up. I didn't even get to see what happened in the back. I just saw parts go flying. I couldn't even tell you what happened.
Well, I mean, we didn't get the coverage on the broadcast there, but that was probably a pretty big off. And hopefully everyone is all right. Hopefully everyone can continue their races. What do you think the damage is on those drivers? Do you know who took the most damage?
Avira just came out of the pits. Electric Blade is in the pits. BK's coming in. Sod's coming in. I can't tell if they have damage, or it looks like Sod. No, he doesn't have any damage. I'm not sure what happened to who there, to be honest with you. I saw McLaren, and that was about it. and which I would assume was Texas Tornado, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that was a big offer. We're about to see some drivers dive into the pits. Let's see. Oh, here comes the Ferrari, and we have a lot of drivers. Almost half the grid is filing into the pits here. I mean, it makes sense. It's a great strategy. We'll see what tires they're going to be putting on. It looks like it's going to go from mediums to mediums. That could be an interesting strategy. He might be going for the 2-stop here, and we'll see if he can try and keep those tires towards the end of the race, but a lot of drivers are still on the mediums.
Yeah, and a lot of guys going to mediums. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost half the grid on hards, but like G-Boon and Red Devil both staying out on 10-lap hards. I'd say they're banking on a later safety car. You know, some guys, I guess, coming off the mediums onto hards, which, you know, it's 26 laps. You could probably push it out. I would say it wouldn't be ideal towards the end of the race, but you could certainly be in worse position.
Exactly.
So, you know, as we got coming around here, we've got this safety car. I don't have control over the broadcast, but I can tell you, as of right now, lap 10, our biggest winners so far of the day, Avira in the Alpine, he's in 13th place. He's up 7 positions. He started in last. He's up to 13th. Next, you have Carsben in 9th. He's up 5 places from 14th. So those are our 2 biggest winners so far of the day. Biggest losers so far, Johnny Damon, he's down into 16th, so he's dropped 6 places. And behind him, BK and Vamu both have dropped 4 spots. So Vamu dropped from 1st to 5th, and BK down from 13th to 17th. So you got your 2 biggest winners, 2 biggest losers there.
Yep.
As we got the safety car coming around.
Yep, safety car is going to be coming in here pretty soon. And Carsben, he's had a pretty decent race so far. Same with Avira. They've made up some great places. The top of the leaderboard has pretty much stayed the same, except for Vamu Nubel, who was leading this race at the beginning. He's dropped down into 5th, and hopefully he's going to try and regain his race here pretty soon. And maybe this safety car could help him out just a little bit. It's going to bunch up the pack, and we'll see if another larger DRS train forms. This could get quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean this is going to be huge for keeping the pack bunched up. You know, we didn't see very much separation as it was, and now whatever separation we had is basically gone. And you know, we're on lap 12 here. We expect the safety car to come in soon, so that'll leave us with 24, 23 laps left to run. And they're staying bunched up as bunched up as they were for the first 10 laps. You know, it's going to be a lot more tight racing. But we got a lot of new tires on the grid, a lot more grip. Guys are going to be they're going to start feeling the pressure to make something happen as this race goes on. So I expect to see even more or less. I expect to see less patience being exhibited as this race goes.
Yeah, and this is really crucial. This safety car is fantastic for all those drivers that were involved early in that first lap contact, the ones that went into the pits, especially Texas Tornado. He's really going to try and claw back here as we're waiting for the safety car to get going again. But I mean, it's really good for all those people in the back, and hopefully we'll see them start trying to climb the ladder as much as they can up into the leaderboard. But we'll see. It's pretty open so far, and it's pretty much anyone's race for the taking here.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially even past the top 5. You know, you've got so many guys there who can really compete for a podium spot. You know, all the way up through even 10th or 15th. I mean, even the guys in 20th, as the safety car comes around, everybody catches up. You know, it's a lot of tight racing. They're going to have a lot of work to do. But I mean, everybody here has the pace to, you know, to fight for a points-paying position. And with everybody bunched up, it's going to be an all-out dogfight coming off this safety car, I believe.
Yeah, and Williams has been looking really strong in these past couple races. We'll see if No Pucks Given can try and keep his podium. He's going to have to get a bit of a gap here. This safety car is coming in, and we're going to watch G-Boon start us off here, continue our green flag racing, and he's warming up his tires, getting ready to continue racing. We'll see if he can try and get the jump on Red Devil here. Red Devil is crawling up the back of him. He's ready to go. When will G Boone get this race started again? He might look to get it started on this straight or in the middle of that corner. And there he goes into the exit of the penultimate corner. G Boone started. He got a great jump on the Williams behind, and Red Devil is in the dust. He's out of DRS range. If G Boone can keep that, that's crucial for his race.
Yeah, that was a great start from him, and that with you know, we've said it multiple times. You know, 35% of the lap is DRS zone. So if he can keep that 1 second gap, that's going to be tough. But he's also, I think he's going to have to rely on the people behind him, the guys behind him fighting for position, to kind of slow each other down and keep them bunched up. And he really has an opportunity here to kind of really create some space and check out.
Yeah, and Scorsese all up the back of Cost Mindset, trying to separate the Mercedes. The Mercedes down into turn 2. We're having a bit of a scrap, and it looks like Vamu Nubel is going to get the overtake on Notebooks Given. Scorsese is going to overtake the Mercedes of Cost Mindset. The Mercedes are really starting to separate here, and Vamu Nubel is back in the podium positions. He's really trying to redeem his race here. Will he be able to do it? We're watching the battle between Scorsese and Notebooks Given. Scorsese is on the outside, and he's going to cut off the door. Notebooks Given is going to cut off the door on Scorsese. Scorsese is going to have DRS, and B-Shoals with another penalty, a 3-second penalty. A lot of penalties in this race today, but Scorsese is going to go down the inside. He's going to overtake Notebooks Given going down into turn 1. Will he be able to keep it going down into turn 2? The Williams is all over the back. He's really going to try and retake that position there. Can he keep it? The Williams tries to go down the inside, but he's not going to be able to make the move. And the Ferrari behind of B-Shoals is really trying to scrap for places now. And 4 through 6 all have penalties, so they're really fighting to try and keep in the top 10. This is a crazy restart.
Yeah, I hate to say I told you so, but I said it was going to be a dogfight up this restart. And so far, it looks like I'm being proven right. I mean, even as we speak, Car's been in mindset back there in 8th and 9th. They swapped places. Oh, we had an off there. No pucks given off the track.
No pucks given in the Williams. He is off the track. That is a tragedy for him in this race. The restart, it was looking good, but he lost it all, and he's going to be trying to get it back. It looks like maybe the Alpine went off as well. What car is that in front? That was
Techie Corgi.
That was Techie Corgi in the Alpine. That's unfortunate for him as well. He was having a good battle up there in the top, and he looks like he has damage. He's going to go into the pits.
Yeah, Vamu just overtook G Boone there, coming around turn 2. You're going into turn 3. He's staying ahead. And
wow.
Jay Supreme has retired from the session in the pits.
Yep, Jay Supreme, he had a drive-through penalty. I didn't think he was going to finish this race, and it looks like he is out. But still, this battle between the AlphaTauri and the Williams up here in the top 5 is still carrying on. And Vamu Nubel, he managed to get back his first place. That's where he started the race, and he managed to get back there. G Boone had a great restart, but it wasn't enough to defend from Vamu Nubel behind.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised with all the fighting we saw there behind G Boone. I'm honestly surprised that they caught up so quickly, because he had such a great start and immediately put like a 1.2 second gap on everybody. And it's just kind of surprising to me, but great work by Vamu to make that happen.
Yep, and there's another safety car. Another safety car is out, and wow, did Cost Mindset time that perfectly. He went straight into the pits as the safety car was coming out, and that is perfect for him in his race.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for Mindset. He's coming on to putting on some new hards, and he's going to be looking to take those all the way to the end. And him and No Pucks as well, both on brand new hard tires.
Well, so let's go ahead and pull up the tires here. That was, I'm amazed at the timing of that safety car. Was there contact in the back? What happened there? What caused that safety car?
I didn't even see, I couldn't see it. I was watching Vamu and G Boone, and just totally missed what happened.
Yeah, so we'll see if G Boone tries to go into the pits here. He is on 16 lap hards compared to everyone else around him on 6 lap old mediums. Red Devils also on 16 lap hards. They both have not yet pit in this race. So, I mean, there is a tire disadvantage here for G Boone. and for Red Devil, and we'll see if they go into the pits. G-Boon is flying into the pits, and it looks like the Alpha Tauri right behind him is going to fall into the pits as well. A lot of drivers coming into the pits. There's going to be a... Wow, I mean, this does wonders for strategy. This is going to really mess things up, and we'll see how this continues on.
Oh, yeah, and mindset, I think he's going to come out of this great. You know, he was right there at the pits when it went off, and he's going to be able to make up some spots here for sure.
Yep. So our leader, Vamu Nubel, did not go into the pits. He's gonna prioritize track position. Fluffy, he's in the exact same place as Vamu Nubel. He is on 7-lap-old mediums, and right behind him in the Aston Martin Electric Blade. He did not pit as well. He's on the 8-lap-old hards, and a little bit of a tire disadvantage here, but we'll see if he can keep it. He might be looking to pit closer to the end of this race, because he already is halfway through a stint on those hards, so we'll see if he's gonna pit again. If he does, that's gonna be an interesting turn of events for this top pack.
Yeah, I think you know, at least for Electric Blade and BK, you know, they're on 8-lap-old hards respectively. You know, if they need to, I think they could push it to the end. But if I were them, I'd be looking for a late safety car to go to some softs. It won't be much longer. You'll be in the window for soft tires, and you know, I think maybe that's what they're kind of hoping for.
Yeah, and that could be a bit of a gamble though, because Saad Niaz, he's already on the softs. He's our only driver on the softs, so drivers might be looking to see how Saad Niaz does on those softs and see how his pace is doing as Sean Boy goes into the pits in the Red Bull. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close between this top pack, and we'll see. I mean, most of the drivers, everyone except for the top 5, has dove into the pits, so we'll see how this top 5 does. We'll see if they're going to be able to keep their track position, or if they're going to try to take that gamble, as you said, with a late safety car. It's very possible.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything's possible, you know, and like we said, it is certainly a gamble, you know. But you know, the guys on the hards there, I think they have probably the best chance of pushing it out to the end over like Vamu's 8-lap-old mediums.
Yeah, but we're just about halfway through this race. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying, you know, I think the guys with hards are certainly in a better position to push to the end, but. You know, with the safety car, you know, that's helping with the tire wear. And we saw Johnny last week at a track with much more tire degradation really push some tires out. So, you know, maybe they try to take a page out of Johnny's book and do a little tire saving in this stint.
A little Checo Perez, a little bit of finesse with the tires, and they might just be able to get to the end and keep their track position. But you also cannot forget about the penalties. Texas Tornado, he was in the back, lost his front wing at the beginning of the race. That safety car really saved him, and he didn't need to pit for new tires because he already had new tires, and he's now in the top 5, which is great for McLaren. And we'll see if he can stay in that top 5. It's been looking a little bit shaky here as we go green flag racing. Vamu Nubel sets us off in the Mercedes. Fluffy right behind, and he got away pretty well from second place behind.
Yeah, he didn't quite have as good of a restart as G-Boon had from the last safety car, but he's certainly created a little space, and interesting to see how this works out. Of course, you know, he's on the older tires. The top 5 they're all on the older tires, so interesting to see how that comes into play here off this restart as the guys get their tires warmed up and get the DRS going.
Exactly. And speaking of G-Boon, he is really finding Scornsy behind. What a race Scornsy has had today. He has been battling wheel to wheel for almost this entire race, and I'm surprised his tires aren't suffering more, and I'm surprised he hasn't made a mistake at this point. He is not letting the pressure get to him, and man, we have a pretty close-knit group here. The Ferrari of G-Boon is going to try and go around the outside of Texas Tornado. It's not going to be enough. He might be able to set himself up for a DRS overtake. This would be crucial for his race, and he's going to look down the outside into turn 1 on Texas Tornado. Texas Tornado is going to shut off the door, but he's going to be a switchback from G-Boon, and G-Boon is going to overtake Texas Tornado, and Scornsy is going to be right behind him to pick up the scraps. Wow, a double overtake going into turn 1, and Texas Tornado is really falling down the pack here. That really messed up his pace.
Yeah, that contact between him and G-Boon, that really hurt him. That kind of opened the door for everybody else behind to come around. It was a well-fought corner, but, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose, and it was just Texas' turn to lose on that one.
Exactly, and Red Devil, he's still clawing back, and Scorzy is still fighting G-Boon from behind, really trying to keep that place here. He has been riding the tail of drivers all race today. Is he going to be able to stay in the top 5? We'll see. A Texas Tornado with a huge off, and he is all the way down in 19th. Man, he has had a rough race. He's already crashed once, and this is his second crash of the day. We thought that maybe he'd be able to keep his pace, but no. He's going to fall all the way back down to the bottom of the order with Sean Boy and Avira. Cost Mindset with another penalty. That's both Mercedes now. I'm sorry, that's just Cost Mindset. Vamu Nubel in first, still doesn't have a penalty. Fluffy behind him does, but I think that's Cost Mindset's second penalty, if I'm correct.
No, that's his, he's got a if he had a penalty earlier, he got rid of it in the pits. He has currently has 3 seconds of penalty right now. Okay.
And Electric Blade is still fighting Red Devil behind. There's only 2 tenths between him here, going around into this little curvy bit. He's gonna lose it just a little bit. He's gonna have a little bit of understeer, loses the rear grip a little bit, but he's gonna keep it. He's gonna lose time a little bit to Red Devil ahead, and Red Devil is all up the back of Scornsy in front. BK has managed to overtake Scornsy as well. G-Boon is back on the podium.
Oh, and we've got a virtual safety car. Johnny Damon, he spun out there between, looks like him and maybe Electric Blade.
Yeah, Electric Blade has also fallen down the order. He's down in the 16th, and Johnny Damon is 21 seconds behind in 17th place. We'll see if he dives into the pits here.
Yeah, he got stuck. He got into the gravel trap there and beached himself, and caused a virtual safety car. He's just spinning his tires, couldn't get off the curb.
That's really unfortunate for his race. He did win the last race, and it's looking like he is not going to be able to come back in this one. I mean, he could. It would take a miracle, but I'd be surprised to see him get back into the top 10.
Yeah, and I mean he's another one with some penalties here. Let's see, he's got 5 seconds of penalty, and now he's got sorry, is that John? Yeah, Johnny has a drive-through. Saad Nias has a drive-through, both for speeding under VSC. That's really going to hurt his outcome of his race today.
Wow, and almost half of the drivers, I think more than half of the drivers left remaining in this race have penalties. So we'll see how that shakes up the standings and the results at the end of this race. But G-Boon, Vamu Nubel, and BK right now are looking like they're in a technical podium, and we'll see if they can keep that.
Yeah, there's 12 laps to go. They're still staying pretty close. Vamu's created a gap. Fluffy's out of DRS, but there's G-Boon going around him right now. And so now, and Scorenzi's right behind. Scorenzi's out of DRS, but Fluffy's in G-Boon's DRS, and G-Boon's coming into Vamu. So, they're staying together pretty well. And behind 4th place, the pack is still really tight. Everybody's within DRS.
Yeah, speaking of that, Scorenzy has gotten ahead of Red Devil. He's finally managed to create himself a little bit of a gap, and he's now in free air and able to use his pace, which it seems like he has a lot of. BK has fallen down the order from 4th down into 6th. He was overtaken by Red Devil as well. Cars Ben just behind the Red Bull. He's going to try and see if he can set up a DRS overtake, and we'll see how he's going to be able to keep that going into turn 1. But wow, I mean, this safety car has really flipped this order in. Scorenzy in open pace. That's at the fastest lap of this race with a 106.1 on the mediums. And I'm surprised Saad on the softs wasn't able to do that earlier. But, I mean, Saad's still chugging along. He's in 13th in the Haas. And it looks like the Alfa Romeo is going to try and go around the outside of the Red Bull of BK. Is he going to be able to pull it off? He's going to have the exit speed, and he's going to go right around the outside of BK. Wow, what an overtake.
Yeah, and I think that just, I spoke about it last week. We talked a lot about tire age and wear, but, BK's on 16 lap old hards. Everybody around him's on 7 lap mediums. So he's got twice the age on his tires and a harder compound as it is. He's going to be struggling to fight off all the challengers coming his way now.
Yep, and BK has fallen down further. He's now in 9th. B. Scholes has overtaken him. He's in 8th. Cost Mindset in the McLaren. He's having a pretty decent race. He's in 7th. And Scornsy, he is still scrapping. And look at that pace go. He's all up the back of Fluffy. He's going to try and go down into turn 1. No, he's going to save it for turn 2. Maybe have a little bit more DRS. And hopefully he can get around, maybe down the inside. But, the outside, he's going to have a lot more exit speed. It looks like he's going to go for the second option. He's going to go around the outside, try and get that exit speed on Fluffy. Is he going to get it? I think he is. They're still going wheel to wheel into turn 3. They might go 3 wide into turn 3. They're all up the back of each other. And wow, this is a crazy turn of events. The Williams of Red Devil is now fighting Fluffy for that 4th position. Scorzy has put himself into the podium, and still behind him, they're going wheel to wheel. This is some great racing.
Yeah, it's the Red Devil coming in there, putting himself in that fight. That really helped Scorenzi out. His fight there with Fluffy after Scorenzi got around, that really let Scorenzi make some gaps there and check out a little bit from that fight.
Yeah, and this top 3 is really close. Fluffy with a 3-second time penalty. G-Boon is going to try and take on Vamu Nubel. It looks like he's going to set himself up for a turn 2 overtake here, and he's going to have the DRS. Vamu Nubel in front of him does not have that 10-mile-an-hour advantage, and G-Boon is going to fly right by him going into turn 2. What an overtake, and he is now back in the lead. They've been back and forth all race. Scorenzi still behind Vamu Nubel, still scrapping for that second place. Red Devil now has gotten ahead of Fluffy. He's in 4th, and Vamu Nubel is going to try and go down into turn 3. He's going to go down the inside, and there hasn't been contact. Maybe a little bit there coming out of the exit. Vamu Nubel is back into first place, and Scorenzi is going to try and pick up the scraps on G-Boon. This top 3 is really close, and they're really battling it out.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens down this start straight when they hit the DRS again. They're just swapping back and forth. Now Scorenzi's kind of come into the picture as well there. It's going to be interesting to see a 3-way battle there for first place.
Yeah, and we're coming down to the closing stages of this race. I don't think anyone else is going to pit. The Williams of Red Devil cuts towards the inside of the pit lane, and it looks like it's going to be pretty back and forth because Vamu Nubel does not have that DRS advantage. G-Boon is going to have the DRS advantage on Vamu Nubel going in to turn 2, but Vamu Nubel cuts off the outside, and G-Boon is going to fall right back into place. I thought he was going to be able to get that overtake done, but he might be trying to get him into turn 3 so he can keep that DRS advantage and not lose it again into turn 3 like he did last lap.
Yeah, it looks to me like he was kind of biding his time to go in. Here he goes, going ahead on the inside now. They get really close, but no, they don't touch. And he saw how that worked out for Vamu last lap, and I think he was looking to get the same deal.
Yeah, we'll see if they keep going back and forth, but Vamu Nubel gets a little bit hairy there. He's almost going to go into the grass, and he's going to lose a lot of time. I think the pressure of this rally of overtakes is starting to get to him a little bit. He might have a little bit more pace in that Mercedes, but we'll see if he can keep it. G-Boon is going to be ahead of him going into this front DRS straight, and we'll see if he can keep it. Scorenzi is going to try and go down the inside of Vamu Nubel. He's not going to have enough pace or DRS to get around him. Wow, Scorenzi is really fighting for places here. He's going to try and go down the inside of Vamu Nubel, and Vamu Nubel is trying to overtake G-Boon. He's not going to be able to get it done. He's going to go a little bit wide there, try and get a little bit more exit speed going into the second DRS straight. Will G-Boon be able to defend behind? We're on board with Vamu Nubel as he's trying to get around the outside. No, he's not going to have enough pace. G-Boon is going to shut the door on the outside and keep it going. He's going to stay in first.
And Vamu's on 18 lap old mediums now, and he's fighting for his life there on that, there in the podium. And as much as he's fighting, I know those tires have to be hurting at this point.
Yeah, those tires must be screaming.
With his sliding around, I'm sure that he's losing grip. He's holding on for everything he's got, and it's certainly an admirable fight he's putting up here with a disadvantage on tires that he has right now.
Yeah, those tires must be screaming. G-Boon has a bit more life in his tires, but as we were talking about earlier, if we want to backtrack a little bit, cost mindset. He's down in 14th, so that safety car really didn't benefit him as much as we thought it would. I think he might have had a little bit of contact or maybe even an off because he's down in 14th with a 13-second gap in front of him.
He jumped into the pits there 3 laps ago, put on a set of softs. I'm not
really?
sure if maybe it was time for his tires. Yeah, I don't know if maybe he had some damage on a wing or if it was just time for his tires or what. So he jumped in, put some softs on. He may be trying to get a fastest lap here in the closing stages of this race and take a point away from somebody or, try to take advantage of the tire disadvantage. But he's 13 seconds behind with a time penalty as well. So, he's certainly going to have to. It's going to take a miracle, I think, at this point with 6 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, but Scornsy, he subbed in and he is putting on a show. He is right next to G-Boon. G-Boon fell back down to the second. That's what we thought was going to happen. We thought it was going to be pretty back and forth till the end of this race. We are now on lap 31, 5 laps to go, and I think Scornsy might be biding his time, trying to get into that second place, but Red Devil is still back there. He's still in that top pack, really trying to get the DRS from Scornsy ahead of him and really trying to fight for those podium positions later in this race. But I mean, we'll see if Vamonubel is going to be able to stay. As we said earlier, his tires are screaming. I'm not exactly sure how he's doing this. We have a yellow flag in the sector 2 on turn 2, and it looks like the Aston Martin of Fluffy was involved in that incident. He might have gone a little bit wide there.
He was off and Saint was off, but I thought Saint coming through the grass, but I don't know if they got tangled up or what there.
Yeah, so G-Boon still trying to fight Vamonubel ahead. Vamonubel is doing a great job of defending G-Boon from behind. He's managed to keep his lead through those DRS zones. Will that be enough, though? G-Boon down the inside. He's going to have the DRS advantage. It's not enough to get him into turn 1. He's going to be right up the tail of him, though, and his wing is going to be touching the diffuser of his car. He's going to try and go around the outside of Vamonubel with that DRS advantage, and he's going to have the lead going into turn 2. Will Vamonubel be able to fight back with this extra kick of DRS, this extra 10 miles an hour advantage going down this this second straight here? He's gonna try and go around the outside. G-Boon making sure to give him space, but Vamonubel hits the gravel. His back left tire hit the gravel, and Scornsy is going to be able to pick up the scraps. He was waiting for something like that to happen, and it did. Scornsy is now in second place, and this race is really turning out well for Scornsy and that AlphaTauri.
Yeah, but the sad part is Scornsy has 3 seconds of penalties. Of time penalties.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's unfortunate for him.
Yes. So, Vamu and Red Devil they're going to be there to pick up the scraps. I think they may fight with each other to get either, fighting for second and third. But Scorinzi, he, at best, he's going to be dropping from the podium to I don't know, what do we have here? 8 to 5th or 6th place as it stands right now. So I wouldn't look for them to fight too hard with Scorinzi, but Red Devil and Vamu will probably be fighting with each other a little bit here to get a better podium position.
Yeah, and Teki Corgi in this Alpine down in the in 9th place. He's really scrapping with all these drivers behind.
Oh, safety car.
Oh, and we have a safety car. This is really
looks like
gonna
Texas Tornado.
Yep, Texas Tornado. He is off. And there's a safety car in the final stages of this race. We might finish under a safety car, or we'll have 1 lap of racing left to go. Let's go ahead and pull up the tires here. It's pretty tight here in the final stages of this race. But Scorenzi and G-Boon, they're both going to have the exact same tire life. Vamonubel behind is on 22-lap old mediums. His tires are screaming, and I know that for a fact. Red Devil on 15 laps. Bishol's on 15 laps, and Cards Ben is also on 15 laps. BK, who has the most degraded tires, he is on 24-lap-old hards, and he's going to go into the pits and try and maybe go for softs, maybe go for that fastest lap, try and get another point, but he's got to stay in the top 10 to get that point, though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen here with Vamu and these 23-lap-old hards. We're under safety car. The degradation is certainly going to be less under these safety car laps, but I'm going to be interested to see what happens off the restart with his tires being that worn. Especially compared to everybody else around him. He's put up a great fight so far, and I'm just curious to see if he's able to keep that going through the last laps here once we get a restart going.
That would be fantastic for him and his driver standing score. But hopefully we don't end under a safety car. That'd be really unfortunate to a great race. Hopefully we'll have at least one lap left to battle it out here. And we'll see here in the Styrian Hills as we're waiting for the marshals to clean up the track and we can get green flag racing underway. And the safety car is in. We're going to have 2 laps or 1.5 laps of racing here.
Yeah, and if we thought it was a dogfight before off that safety car restart, I think we're really going to see one this time.
Yeah, G-Boon had a really good getaway last time. Is he going to have the same getaway off Scornsy? Scornsy has been racy all race, and we'll see if G-Boon is going to be able to get away well. We're going to go on to Scornsy as G-Boon gets away. He's going to start our race, and it's going to be a sprint to the checkered flag. Scornsy is going to fall back behind a little bit. Will Vamu Nubel be able to try and overtake Scornsy to keep and maybe get a little bit closer to G-Boon if G-Boon makes a mistake? You can't forget that Scornsy does have that time penalty, so Red Devil is technically in the podium positions. B-Shoals also in 5th, has that 3-second time penalty, and this is going to be really close coming down into the final lap of this race.
Yeah, and interesting enough, we're not going to have enough time for, we don't have enough laps for DRS to re-enable, so this is going to be all driver, all motor. We're going to see a lot of battery burn in these last 2 laps here as people jockey for position. But, Scornsy, he's got that 3-second time penalty, and despite that, he's had a heck of a race. Certainly should be proud of his race he's run.
Yeah, exactly. And this race might just come down to who is managing their battery the best. And it looks like G-Boon is really starting to deploy his battery and try and get away from Vamu Nubel behind. Vamu Nubel has dropped down in the 4th place, and Red Devil is now in 3rd. He has been able to overtake him, but Vamu Nubel is back ahead of him. It's really flip-flopping here. It looks like one of the cars are ghosted. That is quite an interesting sight to see here. We're going to go back to G-Boon as Scornsy is really battling for that 1st place position. He's going to try and go around the outside. It's not going to be enough, but G-Boon loses the traction a little bit coming in at turn 1. We saw that in his qualifying lap, and Scornsy has gotten ahead of him on the final lap. It's a final lap shootout. G-Boon going down the inside of Scornsy. Scornsy trying to keep that exit speed. G-Boon goes a little bit too wide, too narrow, and hits the grass just a little bit. He should still be able to win this race off of a technicality of penalties. But
yeah, I wouldn't expect him to fight that as hard as he did there. I think he kind of
no
realized
point.
the game about halfway through that corner complex, and now he's kind of just let him go. He just wants to stay behind him, stay within that gap, which is pretty easy to do. But
what a race by Scornsy. He's going to cross the line to go 2nd place. He's going to finish in 1st technically, but G-Boon is going to come home to win the Austrian Grand Prix. What a race from G-Boon. What a race from these top 3. Wow, round of applause for these gentlemen.
Yeah, amazing race. It's so close, and it was just great racing the whole way around. Couldn't have asked for a better race, and kind of went exactly like we had predicted. Less safety cars, very close racing, a lot of time penalties, and that's certainly going to shake up the order here at the end.
Wow, and so that's really good for Williams and for Red Devil. They're going to be looking pretty good on their constructors points. But Sean Boy in the Red Bull gets driver of the day. Congratulations to him, and congratulations to our winner G-Boon, who crosses the line technically 2nd, but also technically 1st. He's going to show the American flag. What a great race from him today. What a great race in the American Tour.
Yeah, this is the top drivers for contest of speed on the American side, and they are showing. This is a master class on why they are in the top tier. Can't ask for better racing than this.
Yeah, and did we have 2 safety cars or 3 safety cars in this race today?
2 in a VSC.
2 in a VSC, yeah. That second safety car really shook up that order and allowed for a lot of drivers to really come back here. So here is your results from the race today. G-Boon finishes first, Valmanubel in second, Red Devil in third, Cars Ben in fourth, Ecos Satan the McLaren in fifth, Scarenzi in sixth. He had a great race today. Seventh is Avira, eighth is Cost Mindset, ninth is B Shoals, and finishing out the top 10 is Sean Boy. He also had a pretty good race today as well. And wow, I mean, you really can't ask for much more. Welcome to the American Tier. We're going to be racing again next Saturday, 8 p.m. CDT, so make sure you're here for that race next week. It's going to be quite a race, but the stream is not over yet. We're about to get into the interviews, and we're going to get our podium finishers in here in just a second. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the interviews.
Just a small correction. We'll be here next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, not Saturday.
Oh, I don't know why I said Saturday. That's my bad. Thursday. Thursday. That is my fault. But we're about to get the drivers in here for their interviews, and we'll just give them 1 second. They're coming off the podium, and we'll give them a second to get some water, maybe recharge for a second after that race as we're waiting for them. But I'm just surprised by how racy Scorsese was. He came in for this race as a sub and really showed that he belonged here today.
Yeah, I think he subbed in for QRL Ramon, and I don't think Ramon could have asked for a better replacement. I'm sure he's proud of the
I'm
job
sure he's very proud. And QRL Ramon, it's not like he can be replaced either. QRL Ramon, he's a pretty quick driver.
Yeah, so I like I said, he's up there. His pace is amazing, and to see his reserve driver come in and do such a fine job, couldn't ask for more than that.
Exactly. So we have one of our race finishers here, Red Devil. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. So you had a pretty crazy race, lots of overtakes. What would you say allowed you to get on the podium again today?
Well, made consistency again. I think I barely had any warnings. One warning throughout the race. I just kept it on track there. Wanted to get P2. I don't know what happened there at the end with Vimu. I don't know if he lost connection or it was me, but I was just ghosted and driving inside his car, and that threw me off so badly.
I saw that. I commentated on that, and I was like, what a sight to see there in the final stages of this race. But I mean, Valmanubel also had a great race as well. But
yeah, the top 4 guys, GGs to everybody, even Scarenzi. I mean, a fantastic race. It could have been anyone at the end, but yeah, I'm happy. Again, another podium, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to go ahead. Congratulations, by the way, on the podium finish. Valmanubel, you had a great race today as well. You were battling G-Boon. How were your tires doing during that battle with G-Boon towards the end of that race?
I didn't know I had tires by that time. I finished with them at 30%.
That's crazy. Were you like skating around? It looked like you were pretty stable on those tires.
Yeah, just last 2 corners, but rest were fine.
That's pretty impressive. Anything else you took from this race you're going to be able to take into next weekend?
Not quitting.
Well, congratulations.
I do have a question though,
real quick. Go for it.
Was your original plan to run those tires to the end, or were you hoping for a safety car earlier in that last stint to change out?
No, that was the original plan.
Oh,
until that second safety car.
Well, hey, it worked out for you.
Almost.
You wanted that win, I know you did. But the man on top today, G-Boon, you had a great race as well today. Congratulations on the win. Just was wondering, were you intentionally fighting Scorsese at the end of that race, or did you realize he had a penalty?
I knew he had a penalty. I I'm more asking myself why he was fighting as much as he was. Um, but I mean, race is over now. I knew he had a penalty, and I mean, he wasn't going to make that much of a gap past me if he did overtake me with a couple corners left to save him from the penalty, anyways. So, I mean, I don't know. That was hectic there at the end. Super close racing. I thought I was going to die about 100 times. I mean, I was terrified the whole race. Um, I mean, it was so close. Not even half a car length in between. Guys in front of me, behind me, DRS swapping. I mean, it was intense. It was a lot of fun though, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that it was kept that clean. Were you using DRS like strategically towards the end of that race to try and stay ahead of Vamo Nubel?
Well, so I mean, when I was behind, I sometimes I wouldn't even activate DRS just so I could stay behind and save some battery. But I kind of had to play it back and forth because Scarenzi was so close behind me. So I was really just trying to stay in between them for a while, as long as I could until the end to try to make a pass. But then I think Vamu slipped up once, so I kind of took that opportunity, and then Scarenzi passed him, and then we got bunched up and had to battle from there. But I mean, I was just trying to kind of play it safe, stay in the middle, and save some battery for the end for sure.
Yeah, well, fantastic race today. Electric, anything else you wanna add to that?
No, man, I just like that was a great race. You know that the fighting between you and Vamu there at the end, swapping back and forth, man, that was incredible to watch. And congratulations on your win. Congratulations to Vamu and Red Devil on your podiums as well. Great race to watch. Can't wait for next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and end the stream. Make sure you tune back Thursday, 8 p.m. CDT and 9 p.m. Eastern time for the race next week, and we'll see you all there.